Just imagine, you wake up in the morning, pour yourself a glass of milk, and start your day. But what if that milk wasn't from a cow, but from a lioness instead? Would you even dare to touch that glass? If not, then by the end of this video, you'll know the 3 reasons why no human on Earth, whether a scientist or an adventurer, would ever dare to drink the milk of a lion, cheetah, bear, or wolf. And the last of these reasons is so shocking that you may never have even thought of it before. So make sure you watch till the very end, because every section is going to reveal a new secret that will genuinely surprise you. You've probably had cow's milk, maybe goat's milk too. Perhaps you've even tried camel or buffalo milk. But predator milk, meaning the milk of animals that survive by hunting other creatures, is something almost nobody on this planet has ever even seen, let alone tasted, no matter how curious they might be. Let's break down this mystery through science, step by step, in the simplest words possible, so that by the end of this video, no question is left in your mind. First, it's important to understand what milk actually is, and why nature created it in the first place. Every mammal feeds its young with milk. This is a universal rule that's been part of evolution for millions of years. But here's the interesting part. Every animal's milk is completely different, because every animal's babies have different needs. Human milk, cow's milk, and a lioness's milk are worlds apart from each other, because nature designs each type of milk according to the specific growth requirements of that animal's offspring. Cow's milk is suitable for humans because a cow is a herbivore, meaning a plant-eating animal, and its metabolism, its diet, and the composition of its milk are all fairly close to that of a human. But predator animals, like lions, cheetahs, wolves, and bears, have a biological system that's completely different from ours. Their milk is designed for babies that grow extremely fast, that need massive amounts of energy just to survive, and that eventually grow up to eat nothing but meat. Because of this, the composition of predator milk is a complete mismatch for the human body, and this is where our first major reason begins. The first reason is the extreme fat and protein content. Predator milk contains many times more fat and protein than human milk or cow's milk. For example, the fat content in human breast milk is around 4%, and cow's milk falls in roughly the same range, which is exactly why both are easy for humans to digest. But the milk of predators like seals and whales, which are technically marine mammals, can contain more than 50% fat. Think about that. Half of the milk is pure fat. Polar bear milk is also extremely high in fat because their cubs need to build up body fat as quickly as possible to survive the brutal cold of the Arctic. If a human were to drink milk this rich in fat, their digestive system simply wouldn't be able to handle it. The result would be severe stomach pain, diarrhea, vomiting, and if the quantity is high enough, it could even seriously damage the pancreas, potentially leading to long-term health problems. In simple terms, drinking this milk is like launching a direct attack on your own stomach. And this isn't some minor discomfort. It's the kind of thing that could land you in a hospital. Now let's talk about the second reason, which is perhaps the most practical and dangerous of them all. How would you even get this milk in the first place? Think about how easy it is to milk a cow. You go in the morning, tie the cow up calmly, and milk her, because cows are domesticated, have lived alongside humans for thousands of years, and the entire process is completely safe. But now imagine approaching a lioness who has 2 small cubs by her side and trying to milk her. What do you think would happen? Lions, bears, and wolves are territorial and extremely protective animals, especially when their young are nearby. Any human who tries to get close is putting themselves in serious danger, because predator mothers become so aggressive in protecting their young that they will attack without a second thought. This is exactly why even scientists and researchers have rarely attempted to directly collect milk from these animals. Whatever little data does exist has mostly been gathered from zoo animals or rescued and orphaned babies, in situations where the animal was already sedated or in a controlled, safe environment. So in reality, even before you get to drinking this milk, simply extracting it becomes a life-threatening task in itself, one that carries an extremely high risk of losing your life. Now let's talk about the third and most shocking reason, something you've probably never even considered before. Predator animals have an entirely meat-based diet. They eat the entire body of their prey, including organs, bone marrow, and sometimes even the toxins that were already present in their prey's body. Some of the things that can enter a predator's blood and milk through their diet include heavy metals, if their prey came from a polluted environment, parasites and bacteria that are commonly found in raw meat, and hormones that are present at high levels in the predator's own body, such as stress hormones released while the animal is actively hunting in the wild. None of this is safe for a human to consume through milk, because the kind of controlled, clean, and regulated dairy environment that exists for cows simply doesn't exist for predator animals. In other words, predator milk isn't just high in fat. It can also be an unpredictable, contaminated, and risky substance that looks like milk on the surface but is actually a hidden health emergency underneath. Here's another interesting angle that very few people know about. Predator animals produce very little milk, and only for a very limited period of time. A cow can produce liters of milk every single day for months on end, because humans have specifically optimized cows for this exact purpose through thousands of years of selective breeding. But a lioness only produces just enough milk to keep her own cubs alive, and only for a few months, until the cubs start eating solid food. Given this, even if you wanted to collect predator milk, the quantity would be so small that it would be impossible to produce anything at a commercial scale. The process is so dangerous that the cost-benefit simply doesn't add up, and the risk is so high that no sane person would ever attempt it. This is exactly why, to this day, no predator dairy farm exists anywhere in the world, and it's unlikely one ever will. Interestingly, there are a few rare cases in history where humans have tested the milk of predators or wild animals, but mostly for scientific research purposes, not for drinking. Zoologists and veterinarians have occasionally analyzed the milk of an orphaned predator cub's mother in order to create an artificial formula that could feed the baby animal without it needing to return to its actual mother. But this milk has never been tested for human consumption because the scientific community already knows the risks are far too high and the benefits are essentially zero. There are also documented cases of people who accidentally, or out of sheer curiosity, tried wild animal milk. And in most of these cases, the result was severe stomach upset or something resembling food poisoning, proving that this isn't just theory, real-world experience backs it up too. From this entire discussion, one thing becomes completely clear. Humans can only safely drink the milk of animals that are herbivores, meaning plant eaters, that are domesticated, meaning they've lived alongside humans for thousands of years, that have a calm temperament so that milking them is safe, and whose milk composition is suitable for the human body, meaning it isn't excessively high in fat. This is exactly why cow, buffalo, goat, and camel milk are common all around the world, because they perfectly fulfill all of these criteria. Predator animals don't fit into any of these categories, which is exactly why their milk has always remained a mystery and a complete no-go zone. All of this actually reflects a beautiful balance within nature. Every animal's milk is designed according to the specific needs of that animal's offspring. This is one of the marvels of evolution, and understanding it is genuinely fascinating in its own right. A predator's milk is perfect for a predator's young. A cow's milk is perfect for a calf, and human milk is perfect only for human babies. Humans only adopted the milk of animals that were safe and practical for us, and this choice is the result of thousands of years of trial, error, and domestication, not some random decision. So the next time someone asks what lion's milk would be like, you'll now have a full scientific and practical answer, and you'll be able to explain all three reasons: the fat content, the danger of extraction, and the toxins that come through diet, with full confidence and detail, without any hesitation. Something else that makes this topic even more interesting is colostrum, the very first milk that any mammal produces immediately after giving birth. Colostrum is completely different from regular milk because it contains an extremely high concentration of antibodies and immune-boosting elements, so that the newborn can quickly build up resistance against disease. A predator's colostrum is even more dangerous for humans because it contains concentrated proteins and immune compounds that are specifically designed for that particular species, not for humans. If a human were to consume this colostrum, their immune system could become confused, and the risk of allergic reactions would rise significantly. So it's not just regular predator milk that's a problem. Even its very first version carries its own separate and serious risk for humans. Now let's think about this from another angle. If predator milk is this dangerous, does that mean there's no exotic milk out there that humans try outside of regular dairy? Actually, there is, like moose milk, which is carefully produced on a small farm in Russia, or donkey milk, which is used for cosmetic and medicinal purposes in some European countries. But both of these animals share one thing in common. They're both herbivores, calm by nature, and can be safely handled. So, wherever humans have experimented with different kinds of milk, they've always stayed well away from the predator category. This proves once again that the rule is crystal clear. The more dangerous and carnivorous an animal is, the more impossible its milk becomes for humans. There's also a fascinating historical angle that might surprise you. Old-time explorers and travelers who went into the jungles of Africa and Asia for research only ever wrote observations about predator milk in their diaries, never about drinking it. They noted that even local tribes never used predator milk, no matter how resourceful they were. The reason for this is simple. People who live in the jungle and have direct contact with wild animals instinctively know that approaching a lion or a bear, especially around their young, is basically inviting death. So this isn't just modern science talking. Centuries-old human wisdom says the exact same thing. Another important thing to understand is the angle of lactose intolerance. The human body is only designed to digest a certain quantity and type of lactose, the sugar found in milk, and mainly during childhood at that. Even after growing up, many humans can't fully digest lactose, which is exactly why lactose intolerance is so common worldwide. Now, if we talk about predator milk, whose composition is completely different, its lactose and sugar levels are also entirely different, which makes it even harder for the human body to process. So, if regular cow's milk doesn't even suit some people, predator milk would turn into an outright disaster for humans in almost every single case. Some people also wonder whether predator milk might have some kind of special superpower effect, the sort of thing shown in movies or cartoons, that drinking lion's milk might make a human stronger. But science completely rejects this myth. The strength or energy content of milk is specific only to that particular animal's own offspring, and the human body processes those nutrients in a completely different way. So there's no super strength to be gained, no magical benefit, only severe stomach problems and health risks. So if anyone ever tells you that drinking predator milk has some special benefit, know that it's just a myth, not science. Looking at all of this, it becomes clear that predator milk isn't just some weird curiosity. It's actually a complete case study in how nature, biology, and evolution work together to decide which animals are safe for humans and which aren't. From the fat content to the danger of extraction, from the toxins that come through diet to the sheer lack of quantity, every single reason reinforces the others, and together they add up to one very strong no when it comes to drinking predator milk. One final angle, perhaps the most eye-opening of all, is the ecosystem and ethics side of things. If anyone ever tried to collect predator milk on a large scale, it would directly affect wild populations. Animals like lions, cheetahs, and bears already fall into endangered or vulnerable species categories. And if humans started targeting the milk meant for their cubs, the survival rate of both mothers and babies would drop sharply, because that milk is essential nutrition for their cubs, not a resource for some commercial product. Conservationists are absolutely clear on this. Interfering with a wild predator's milk, whether in the name of research or curiosity, would be an irresponsible and dangerous act that could disrupt the balance of the entire species. This is exactly why wildlife laws around the world strictly prohibit this kind of activity, and people who illegally get close to and disturb wild animals face heavy fines and legal action. And here's one last interesting fact. The milk of some predator species, like polar bears, is so thick and creamy that it doesn't even look like regular milk, but instead has a consistency closer to thick mayonnaise. Similarly, The milk of some seal species is so concentrated that their baby's weight can multiply several times over in just a few weeks, a completely impossible outcome for a human body if it were to consume milk like that. All of these facts simply prove that predator milk isn't just different for humans. It belongs to an entirely separate biological category that our bodies were simply never designed for. So there you have it, friends. That's the complete truth behind predator milk, why it's so dangerous, why extracting it is nearly impossible, and why nature designed every animal's milk differently. If you found this video interesting and learned something new, make sure to like the video, share it with your friends who are interested in animals and science, and if you want to keep watching mind-blowing science and nature videos like this one, subscribe to the channel right now and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Let me know in the comments below, if you had the chance, which animal would you want to see covered next? A lion, a dolphin, or something completely different? And if you've watched all the way to this point, just type the word predator in the comments, so I know you watched the whole thing carefully. I'll keep bringing new and interesting topics for curious minds just like you. See you in the next video with another fascinating topic. Until then, take care of yourself and your loved ones.